Good days to fellow students and our respected lecturer, Professor Dr. Ong Tian Song, and we are from the lab session of 1E and group 6 of the assignment group. In this computer programming assignment, we are going to do about a student grade and status evaluator. Our group members include me, Tan Chun Han, Lim Shouzi, and also Li Hongyi. So now, let me introduce our student grade and status evaluator. Basically, the student grade and status evaluator is designed to assist students in assessing their academic performance by calculating the average score based on the grades achieved in exams, determining the corresponding letter grade, and evaluates the overall academic status, which is pass or fail. There are several main parts of the program and encompass several functionalities. The first one is input validation. It ensures all inputs, such as student ID and scores, are within specific ranges and formats. Next is the grade calculation. It converts the average score into a letter grade A to F using a grading scale. Besides, the status evaluation will display whether the student has passed or failed, along with motivational comments for improvement. And lastly is detailed output. It displays all enter scores and the calculated average, final grade, and personalized remarks. For the objective part as well, our project aims to determine an overall grade for a course or a semester. The program also computes marks from a variety of assessments, including assignment quizzes and examination. Next is to assess a student academic standing by categorizing them according to predetermined standards such as probation or honors, and determining whether they have passed or failed. And additionally, to improve their performance and assisting advisors in determining by providing students with practical insights if support or intervention is necessary. And the tool is in better decision making. And lastly is to customize reports by generating detailed insights for individual students, courses, or entire classes. It tailored to specific academic or administrative requirements. So now it comes to the part of source code explanation. At the beginning, we create some functions to organize and execute the tasks needed for evaluating student grades and performance in a clear and modular way. Our program's core function include calculating the average scores, determining the corresponding grade, and displaying the entered scores in a user-friendly format. The first function here is the calculate AVG function. This function is to calculate the average score of an array of grades. There are two input parameters, which is the array of scores and the size of scores. First, we declare the variable sum as a double data type and assign it to the value of 0. Using a for loop, we declare integer I to the 0, I less than the size of the papers, and I increased by 1 until the condition is met. After that, it goes through each element in the array and add its value to sum. After summing up all scores, the function divides the total sum by the number of scores, which is size, to compute the average. And the computed average is returned as a double value. And the next one is the determine grade function. This function is to determine the grade corresponding to a given average score. There is an input parameter here as well, which is the average of score. First, we implement the if-else statement. If the average is 80 or higher, it returns A. If the average is between 70 and 79, it returns B. Similarly, grades C, D, and E are assigned for ranges down to 40. For scores below 40 also, it returns F, indicating failure. Lastly, the function returns the corresponding grade as a character value. And last one is the display grades function. It starts by printing the message enter scores, and using a for loop, it accesses each score in the array and prints it inside the for loop. We implement a if-else statement. After printing a score, it adds a comma and space unless it's the last score in the array. The condition if I not equals to size minus 1, it ensures that no extra comma appears after the final score. After all scores are written, it moves to a new line.
Hi, my name is Lim Shouzi, so I'm going to talk about the main function overview. At the heart of our program is the main function, which acts as the central hub. So it's coordinate input collection, validation, data processing, and result output to ensure smooth operation. And for step one is collecting user informations. So the program begins by collecting basic information such as the student's name and student IDs. And for student's name, the user need to provide their name for personalizations. And student ID, the program ensures the student ID is exactly 10 digits only. So the input is wrong, the user need to re-enter it. And the validation steps is crucial. So it ensures data integrity and prevents errors. And for step 2 is collecting the numbers of papers. And the programs ask for the number of papers the students has taken. So here's where we introduce our robust validation systems. And the input must be a positive whole number. And the program checks for non-integer values, negative numbers, and zero. By validating this input, we prevent logical errors like trying to process negative or fractional papers. So it also ensures the programs run smoothly without unexpected crash. So next is step 3, collecting scores for each paper. So once the number of the papers is confirmed, the program moves on to gather the score for each paper. So each score must fall between 0 and 100. So it representing a valid range for exam marks, and the program ensures validate invalid inputs such as negative numbers or values over 100 are rejected. So the users are guided to re-enter the valid scores, and this ensures logical consistency. So it is more accurate scores lead to reliable grade calculations, and invalid data is caught early to maintain the program reliability. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Shoji. So now I'm going to explain the coordinating function calls of the main program. The first coordinating function call that I'm going to explain is the calculate average function. The function is designed to calculate the average of score of the student papers. There are two parameters used in this function, which is array, which means that the containing of the scores, and also score paper, which means that the total number of scores to be displayed. The function iterates through the array, summing the scores. The sum is divided by the numbers of scores to calculate the average, which is written as double value representing the average score. Move on to the next, I'm going to explain the determine grade function. This is a function that designed to assign a grade based on predefined range. There is a parameter used in this function, which is average. Means that the average score calculated by the calculate average function. In this function, corresponding grade, which is A until F, is written as a character. The function takes the average score as input, evaluates the average score, and assign a grade based on a predefined criteria. Next, I'm going to explain the display grades function. The function outputs the scores entered by the user in a formatted way. There are also two parameters contained in this function. One is array, which means that the array containing the scores, and one is score paper, which means that the total number of scores to be displayed. In this function, there are no return value. The function iterates through the array of scores and prints each score, providing a clear output of all the values entered by the user. Besides, let's move forward to the CR coordinating function calls. There's three. Now let's look at it. First is a set precision function calls. It configures the output format to display numeric values with one decimal place. There are no parameter and return value in this function. Next is the average score function calls. It displays the average score calculated earlier and outputs the average score with the format defined by the set precision. Move forward. There is also a final grade function call. It displays the grade determined by the determine grade function and outputs the grade assigned to the average score. It uses a series of if-else statements to compare the average against predefined range as well. Now let us look at the last part of the code. First is the switch statement. The purpose of the switch statement is to evaluate the grade stored in the grade variable. A personalized message is displayed using a switch statement. Once the grade is determined, The program provides a detailed feedback range from congratulations for an A grade to better luck next time for an F grade. Next is how each case works. Each case corresponds to a specific grade from A until F grade. Next is the role of break statements. After executing the code for a specific case, the break statement ensures the program exits the switch blocks and doesn't accidentally execute other cases. That is all from me. Now I'm going to pass to the next speaker.
Next, I'm going to explain the output and executed section of our system. It begins by prompting the user to input their name and a 10-character student ID. In this case, I enter my name Tan Junhan and the ID 242UT242Q. This is validated by the program. Following this, the program displays a personalized welcome message to acknowledge the user's input and signaling the start of the grade calculation process. The program then asks the user to input the number of papers of exams they completed, and the user specifies that they've taken 5 papers. Subsequently, the program prompts the user to enter the scores for each of these papers individually. The scores entered are 65, 54, 87, 32, and 62, which are then stored and processed by the program. After the user has entered all the scores, the program displays them in a formatted list for review. It calculates the average of these scores, which come out to 60.0, and assigns the corresponding grade C based on predefined grading criteria. The program further evaluates the status of the user has passed since the grade is not F. A personalized motivational message, "Your grade is good enough, keep on going," is displayed based on the calculated grade to encourage the user to maintain or improve their performance in the upcoming examination or assignments. Thank you.